Hi, folks. I'm Father Joe Grimaldi. You can call me Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. But now, here's our host and friend, Ken Calvert.
Thank you, boys, and hi, everybody. I'm Ken Calvert along with Father Joe Grimaldi, and welcome to the Father Joe Grimaldi podcast, proudly supported by Houghton McInerney's Star Lincoln 12 Mile Road in Southfield, home of the Star Treatment. The 14th edition wish list sales event is going on now and runs through January 2nd, 2019. You can lease the 2019 Lincoln MKC for only $257 a month, and the stunning new 2019 Lincoln Nautilus for only $387 a month. See Star Lincoln for details. Star Lincoln 12 Mile Road and Telegraph in Southfield. Experience the Star Treatment. Today, we are going to talk about something that we've covered before, but it's really applicable to what the season sort of torments for some people, and I use the word torments because we're talking about people that feel disassociated from the holidays because of depression, which is a disease. Treatable. This is a difficult time, Father Joe, and you deal with it, I suspect, more around this time of year than any other time of the year.
I do, yes, probably, and I think the reason is even the stores, the malls, the radio, the TV are filled with joyous jubilation. You have the singing of the carols, you have the bells, you have people just excited about the preparation with gifts and food. And then you have the individual who feels, wow, I'm not part of that at all. And they don't say that verbally, but they certainly live through it. And they tend to hide in bed and sleep through it if they can. Depression is a horrible thing. I'm not a professional, so I want to preface what I say by that. Mm-hmm. But I do see it, I do know it, I do see people that suffer from it, particularly if they don't take their meds. It's almost a downhill trajectory, and they're hurting. They're hurting because people don't understand them, and they don't understand themselves, and they don't understand what's going on. So usually at Mass, I would ask the people to remember those people during these days, these days of joy for a lot of people are not days of joy for the people that suffer depression, and especially if they neglect themselves and do not take their meds. Like high blood pressure, it's a silent killer in a way, okay, because when people don't take their meds, if people don't pay attention to what's going on to them physically, mentally, and get the proper help that they need, then it just gets worse. And so it's important that if we notice members of our family that are hurting in that way, especially if they're alone and are not partaking of the festive times, it's important that that person be looked after, see what we can do to help. They need help a lot at that point.
What's the difference between intense loneliness and depression?
I'm not sure what intense loneliness is. I would say this, that loneliness and aloneness, they seem to be similar for some people, but they're not. There are people that enjoy being alone.
Yes.
People that get energized by their reading, by their listening to music, by not being in the middle of a big hubbub or crowd. And that I call aloneness. But depression is a different story because people at that point feel almost a sense of worthlessness. They don't feel they belong. They feel like they're not part of this humanity that we exist in. And this is where the fear of people wondering about their lives and people wondering why they have to live this long in the middle of all of this. And this is where someone who has depression needs medical care and needs to take those meds that they've been given. So I think they need help, and we have to make sure that they're getting the help, especially if we are parents and we see children who are students and you see them acting strangely, not partaking of the daily life that is part of living during this joyous time.
The problem that I have with it is when you talk about depression as like a disease.
Yes.
That's standalone in terms of you need treatment, you need to reach out, you need to get the help.
Sure.
Which is out there. It's available.
I'm sure it is.
And there's medications and professionals to support that. What I think this time of year also presents is not aloneness. Those people we've already established and determined are fine. They like that.
Yeah.
However, I would think that there's also on that meter, loneliness goes way up during the holidays. A lot of people are suffering from their first separation from a child, a parent, a grandparent, a friend, a dear friend. Tends to make the holidays a little lonelier. That does not necessarily mean they're tracking toward depression. Again, you're not a professional, nor
No,
am I,
I'm not.
but you see it more than I do. Loneliness and depression are two different things, and people that are very, very lonely probably worry if they're suffering from depression on occasion. And I wonder how you get to that person and just say, it's so common for you to feel lonely, especially right now. And that usually requires family and friends and often people like Father Joe Grimaldi.
Yeah, but it's very difficult to see if that's not incipient depression.
That's what I mean.
Or is it...
Can one lead to the other?
Yes, that's the thing. I think only a professional can really diagnose that type of thing.
Uh-huh.
If we see someone is in trouble, let me put it that way, as a parent, as a loved one, as a friend, we want to make sure that the person gets the help they need, even if it's a matter of diagnosing whether it is depression or loneliness, as we want to call it.
I'll tell you, the one thing is that when somebody is depressed, seriously depressed, you can spot it. And those are very difficult conversations to have with people who are not seeking the help that people like me somehow want to say, I think you need to talk to somebody. That's a really, really slippery slope for me.
Well, I think it depends on how close we are to the individual. If we're just passing friends, you better shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. However, if you're a loved one, a husband or wife, or if you're a parent, I think you can take some steps. Hey, let's find out what's going on in your life. Mm-hmm. And the only way to find out is to get a professional involved. And again, it's got to be extreme loneliness that causes us to say that to the individual. And again, it's a matter of being close to that individual because it will not be accepted if it's a passing acquaintance.
Let's get back to the loneliness portion of this, because you must be out in the lobby of the church after a Mass, and somebody probably comes up to you, and you open up your arms, and you give them a hug, and you go, how you doing? And they say, Father, I'm not doing well. I'm not doing well with the loss of Bob. I'm really, really sad. I'm really, really lonely all the time. Pray for me.
You know, when somebody gets to the point where they say something to you, it's pretty serious.
Yeah.
So you say, hey, let's talk about it. Is there something? How does it show itself? I'm dealing with someone who's going through that because she just lost her husband recently. And it is a very painful time of the year to lose a husband.
Exactly.
To lose a loved one.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
There's any words of encouragement that you might give sound trite. So you really have to say, hey, if they open it up, by the way, they really have to be opening it up. In other words, saying, Father, I really feel, well, would you like to discuss it a little bit? What's going on? And so this allows them to vent, if you want. Sometimes that's all they need is venting. They need to just speak out what they're feeling, how they're dealing with it, why is it happening, and all of this. If they're looking for direct advice, my suggestion is say, I wish I could help you, but I can't give you advice, okay, in this particular matter, because it could be something that I know nothing about, okay? Right. However, if you want to talk about it, I'm here to listen. I would listen to you now or another time, whenever you want. And if you feel you should see somebody, don't be afraid. Ask a professional to help you. I think that might be helpful.
How about just saying to somebody, you know what we ought to do? We ought to go to lunch. Then you sit down and say, hey, listen, the last time we were chatting, you were feeling pretty lonely. Is it getting any better, or are you still kind of lonely? And see, I'm just asking you for
and you can do it,
for direction. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
you said you never want to go to somebody saying, boy, do you seem down. What's wrong? You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's a howdy-doody don't.
Yeah.
But I always think that you can usually tell when somebody's not necessarily on top of their game. You've just noticed something significant and change that seems to be more in the darker side, as opposed to what happened to that lively soul that I used to know.
You do. But one thing you can do is open it up. Hey, what's going on? You don't seem like you used to. Is there something you want to talk about? You can say that.
Carefully,
just be careful. That's all. It's a matter of letting them open up to you rather than you trying to be the healer. You're not the healer at this point. It's a matter of, is there something you want to talk about?
Right.
Let's do it. We're not doing anything that's professional here. It's a matter of being understanding and loving and trying to be with the person. I think that's important. Once we start giving a diagnosis, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're not professionals.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional. So what I could do is listen. Now, the luncheon idea sounds great too, but I think that should come next. Okay, if the person wants to really talk about it, and there might be a time and a space where you could talk about it together. Now, next time you might say, because they've already opened up to you, you might say, are things getting any better? Are you okay? And should we go to lunch? Would you like to do that? Again, you want to give them the option of doing what they would like to do, because we're not the doctor in this case. We just don't have the credentials for it. But we could also, the yesterday's gospel, are you your brother's keeper? Yes. So we are our brother's keeper. And so we want to be able to do whatever we can to make things easy for other human beings, okay? And sometimes it means just listening and being open to what they have to say.
So as we sort of refresh and go back, we're talking about depression. That is a medical condition.
Yes.
That is something that you don't want to get totally just spiraling out of control. You want to make sure that you're in touch with your options and the assistance that's available out there to you. Then we talked about loneliness, aloneness, where you enjoy being alone. That is a comfort zone versus loneliness, which is natural for people that have lost someone recently, about to go through the holidays. And then you also just have that situation where you got to be a friend. You just naturally every day, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, you are. Just keep an eye on friends. Always look out for friends, be it good or bad, be it whatever situation.
I think you said it beautifully. I think that's the important thing. Matter of fact, even yesterday's gospel pointed to, are you your brother's keeper?
Right.
Am I your brother's keeper? Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And yes, we are.
Yes,
because
we are.
we're part of humanity.
Yeah. And do you have any final advice for us to take away this time of year, given all of the distractions, the noise, the personalities, the players, friends, family, everything out there? You would probably say to me, take a little time to meditate. But aside from that, I will try doing that. Anything else that I should be doing?
Well, I'm going to say this. I think we should be alert. In other words, we should be alert to other people, aware of other people. Yes, we want to enjoy fully. We would like to shout out the carols. We would like to hear the bells loud and clear. But by the same token, not everybody's in that kind of a mood. And so if you notice somebody who is not, be sensitive to that. We all have to be sensitive to other people. I think that's important.
Yeah, we wouldn't have characters like the Grinch.
No.
We wouldn't have Mr. Scrooge, would we?
No, we have to be open and alert, and we have to be aware be knowing that there's these people that maybe they're not with you with this, so
Right.
maybe it's time to shut up.
Well, maybe that's our cue to shut up.
No.
I'll tell you what. Coming up next week, ladies and gentlemen, Father Joe and I are getting ready to celebrate, hard to believe, podcast number 100.
I think that's great.
It
It's
seems
wonderful.
like only yesterday that we lifted off from that little pad called Meet Father Joe Grimaldi.
Well,
and here we are, 100 episodes or nearly there. Later.
my name is on it, but I would say the key to all of this is Ken Calvert.
Well, thank you.
He's
Yeah, you're too kind. You're
no,
too kind.
I'm serious. But anyway, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We look forward to seeing you next week as we celebrate and do our gift exchange. Are we looking at you? He was surprised. Are we doing gifts? Just kidding. But we are going to get together for episode number 100. Have a safe, wonderful time, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And as always, thanks to Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln, 12 Mile Road and Telegraph, home of the Star Treatment, and the brand new MKC that Father Joe Grimaldi is now.
Special.
Very nice. Very nice. So we're going to go out to his new ride right now, and I'm going to show him how to use the electronics on board. So
All right.
until next time, we'll talk to you soon, folks, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, and God bless you. This is Father Joe Grimaldi, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe Podcast.
If you'd like, you can email us. It's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. That's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Simply search Father Joe Grimaldi. And thanks for listening, everyone.